the ever-changing weather around the world, ever-diverse terrain and roads across the world. With Kumho Tyre that has conquered all, there is no road you cannot go. Go with Kumho. Kumho Tyre.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome from Watkins, Glen, home of the Watkins Glen 6 Hour. Funny that, and also quite conveniently home of tonight's round of the Kumho Tyres V8 Veterans. Tonight, Scott Rankin and Dan Yeaman on commentary. Unfortunately, it looks like it's the middle of winter. Everyone is coming down with the flu, and we've lost Brady Baldwin in the process, and I'm on the way downhill as well. Dan, it's going to be a long night for us here in the commentary booth, but I think it's going to be actually a relatively quiet and quick night for our drivers out there on track. Short lap times, and a very quick event here in full form of only 150-kilometre duel.
Yes, indeed, that is correct. Thank you for the introduction, Scott, and thank you to everyone joining us here this evening, live on broadcast, or if you're watching it on demand later on this week. Let's, speaking off the track, look to it here, thanks to the Google Earth view of, thanks to Joe Kennedy who makes these here for me at SimSpeed. We zoom on into the northeast corner, upstate New York. We're actually a good 3, if not 4 hours out from New York City. So well out in the countryside here, Scott. And it actually takes a while as we zoom on in here. You can start see the track come into view here. And then here we are at the venue. As I said, a great bit of racing history. 1956, the track was opened up, but modified to its current configuration in 1992. Critically tonight, as you said, short race this evening, but also, on top of that, a short track that we're racing at this evening. The Cup configuration, which is seen in action by the NASCAR series when they visit Watkins Glen. That little inner loop chicane just breaking up the run, which basically starts all the way back at turn number 1. And, well, once you go around the outer loop or carousel at turn 5, go straight on back to the final 2 turns and do it all over again.
Yep, NASCAR comes here for their one and only road course race of the season. And, well, sorry, not one and only anymore. It used to be. It used to be one of the few. We've actually got a big shout out as well coming the way of Damien Cairns as he makes his 100th start here tonight. So congratulations to him on making his 100th appearance in the series. But most importantly, have a look at that glorious track. Look how short it is. Less than 4 kilometres in length. I don't know. Rugby players could run the distance of this. That is the first thought that pops to mind.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too much of a track. And yeah, high average speeds thanks to the fact that we don't have any pretty substantial braking zones. So all these corners, top a second maybe at turn 1 there. Otherwise, I'm thinking 3rd gear pretty much all the way around this circuit at a minimum. And then definitely up into 5th gear front stretch and to turn 6, maybe even 6th gear there into the penultimate turn. But definitely top gear on your way to that inner loop chicane on the back stretch that we've got in place. You do see obviously the little red line there. There is the classic configuration, but we aren't indulging ourselves with that complete speed demon run here this evening. But yeah, nevertheless, yeah, still going to be a fast and furious race. And speaking of which, here is the race information for you all tonight. 39 laps of racing coming our way for this one here, Scott. Indeed, that 150-kilometre target, or just over, to make sure we hit that number. And looking like a one-stop race tonight, given the distance. 80 litres of starting fuel as well on top of that, plus a 90% fuel tank capacity. Means we've got ourselves a very healthy pit window to work with tonight. And with that mention, in fact, we'll bring it over to our race strategies graph, which, as I said, yeah, a little simplified tonight, given we've got such a wide pit window and only one stop inspected.
Yeah, this is going to be a tricky one here as well. Have a look at that. Opens on lap 6. It will be a 23-lap run to the end from there, the halfway mark in and around lap 19, although expecting the maximum fuel range to go through to about lap 26. There's going to be a bunch of drivers as well in that fuel save in the draft. Remember, less than 4 kilometers, the length around here, the ability to go the insane distance on fuel and just pull a wacky old strategy. That's, all of a sudden makes it self a little bit more on the plausible side of things. So we'll see if that will pop its way out. Starting grids has already started to form it up, and that means, Dan Yemin, we can unveil the listing of surprises up and down the field, because we've got one of the most mixed up grids I can recall seeing in the last season and a half.
We sure do indeed. Don't even get a chance to go to Champions Standings because we waffled on for the start there. But indeed, Dan Hall picks up his first pole position of season number 15. He's sharing the front row with Jason Spriggs. Note the time difference there. 28 thousandths of a second separating your top two here tonight. And the gap stayed pretty small as we go on back. Matt Vanderkraan put in the early pole time, but have to settle for P3 on the grid. He's got John Latham sharing the second row here tonight. Michael Stewart going to start from P5. I think one of his best starts of the season as well there. Scott Rod Hollis also a really strong start for him tonight out of P6 on the grid. We hope to see him convert in that Fishy Motorsports 177. Chad Lewis and Mike Taliantich to start on row number 4 there. Nice and close between those two as well. And running at the top 10, Scotty Van Loon and Ken Latta, your race winner from Daytona last week. And, well, you might have noticed there's a couple of drivers that we're missing that haven't made it into the top 10. They're further on back here, Scott.
Yep, Stuart Hall and Matt Parker are going to be 11th and 12th on the grid in the Nova SimSports row number 11. We'll take one step further back, and you're going to see one of the most interesting statistics of the season. Lowest qualifying performance for Scott Campbell, 13th from Watkins Glen, off alongside the Magic Century man, Damien Cairns, making his 100th start here tonight. Greg Sharp and Darren Crosby on the next row back, 15th and 16th, before we'll throw it to Dean Flabell, and Scott McCune on that the 9th row of the grid. That's the one. 10th row of the grid is going to be Christian Smart and Jeff Thomas, before we'll throw it back once again to the 11th.
We will indeed. Going to try and rapid fire, so we're running out of time here. Stephen Kennedy, Travis Hunt, 21st, 22nd for them here tonight. Stephen Gretsch and Jeremy Knight sharing the 12th row here this evening to get this one underway. Michael Dumbrell and Craig Friend off at 25 and 26. It's going to be David Kirby and Chris Miller, the Fishy Motorsport boys, way down the order, 27th and 28th for them tonight to get things underway. Rick Vigor and Hillel Scissor around at your top 30. The last couple of drivers being Chad Vigor and Brenton O'Brien, with Brian Minogue, Paul Burns. I believe our last couple of drivers not
look at those
time.
safety cars.
Sorry, Troy Sipple and Peter Vanderkraan, the last couple of drivers on the order. Just in time as the Revs pick it up here for the Kumho Tyres V8 Veterans. We go green here at Watkins Glen. We took a clean start from the front rows. They head on down to turn number 1.
That's it. They'll settle themselves in. They'll do the run down to turn number 1. And here they come, as it is going to be Dan Hall who gets away. He's going to manage to pick up P number 1. And unfortunately, it looks like we're having a small issue with the camera. Still looking at the back straight at the moment. In the meantime, it's going to be to see if they can get their way through. And it is the S's of Watkins Glen. And that means there's going to be a little bit of chaos in the opening section. Scotty Van Loon around, and it's going to turn cars over and onto their lids. Someone was barrel rolling down the track. One of the WM cars is already parked on the left-hand side. It'll be Jeff Thomas, who'll be tumbling all the way through the field.
Car is being called.
That's being called. What do you reckon? Somebody from here, Taliantich, hint hint, is probably going to have a crack at that fuel strategy going from here to the end of the race.
My word, that was huge. And it starts with Scott Van Loon. Apologies there, folks. Yeah, just I seem to do this every now and again where actually what I was trying to get going was a little graphics that we could actually share for Damien Cairns here. Actually, that was apparently a really bad idea. Let's actually go and see anyone diving into the pit lane. Here we go. Yep, we've got cars down lane. And look at that there. Scott Gamble deep. Look at this. We've got a whole bunch of drivers coming into the pits here. It's being led by Scott Gamble, I think, in the 543. No. There's even more people down the lane. We've got a lot of people.
Ken Latta? Yeah, Ken Latter's the first of those. Is that Jason Spriggs? I think it was off the front couple rows of the grid as well. And fun fact, Gamble, his previous worst qualifying performance prior to tonight, 3rd. 10 positions worse than his previous qualifying performance. I was expecting him to throw a strategy wildcard at it, and I had a feeling if there was a safety car on lap number 1, and that right there is Dan Hall giving up his pole position to run down through the pit lane. Matt Vanderkrat, I don't hate this from him. I actually really like this call. I want to see the number 180 machine on the podium at some point this season. He's going to have to throw a strategy call to make it happen, Dan, and he's done it here.
Yeah, get out in front, look after yourself here, and now use some clean air to your advantage. Because we are a couple of laps shy of what we think is a guaranteed stop. Lap 6 to be absolutely certain, but with the way these drivers save fuel, could have been lap 5.
17th.
On a green flag run. But yeah.
17th, Dan.
Yep.
First drive of the pit.
Indeed.
So halfway through the field. That's a critical number. That means that Dan Hall's done a great job with getting that pole position, and then he's turfed it for, I think it's what, 10, 15 litres worth of fuel?
Yeah, let's have a quick look at that here. So he's been able to get 12 seconds in the box. We're probably looking at around 20... Well, he can only put in about 20 litres of fuel because that's how much the difference is between the starting fuel and the fuel cap. A reminder, if I can find my one, there it is. I'll bring it up on screen for you all again. Yeah, 80 litres to start, 90% of the tank, which is 99.9 litres in these V8 touring cars. So yeah, he has jammed in, at most 21 and a half litres of fuel, which is a little bit more than what you can get into cover tyre as well for good measure. So yeah, we will see if that pays off in the long run. Getting a stop out of the way early, not a bad idea here, where it means you can now sit back and save. You can see he's in no rush to sit up on the bumper of the driver in P16, which is going to be Halal Cesar, the last car not to pit in this race. So far, we get instructions from the control as well. Oh, yeah, let's turn that one off.
No, leave this on. Leave this on. I'm enjoying this. This is going to be great.
Yeah,
Where does the fastest lap of tonight sit before we go back to green flag racing? I'm curious, Dan. So, look, some of you at home will be sitting there and going, oh, you don't care about the fastest lap of this lap. I do.
Right,
I think it's
fun.
Fine.
All right.
Halal Cesar has the fastest lap of the race.
All right, you can have your moment there with the fastest lap being Halal Cesar just in the middle of the field, idling around here. Under yellow.
That's right, Dan Yeager. That's right. Halal Cesar has worked hard for his moment in the sun, and here it is. But, alright, so we are about to go back to green. We're already halfway through the lap to go back to green. So, 17th, Dan Hall, pole position. Halal Cesar, one spot ahead of him in 16th place. Started 30th, up to 16th. Rod Hollis, I went and did a quick check-in. I actually got sent a graphic which I was supposed to pass on to you beforehand. Unfortunately, ADHD brain didn't let me. You've got a replay of what happened up there.
Yeah, just go through this a bit. So we're meant to be starting... Yeah, Jason Spruce. Yeah, this is all just as a cascade effect. I'm actually going to go back to... He gets tapped there, I think, on Cam ladder. So he's loose then, over the curb in the grass. And Matty Parker will get by, but oh my, Chad Lewis and Stewie Hall get obliterated as the first two. And then as everyone checks up, poor Jeff Thomas there in the background. And that is far off at race restart.
Yeah, I can tell you the safety car's already in pit lane. Right, Rod Hollis, his previous best qualifying performance was 23rd, 6th tonight. Michael Stewart's had a few good ones, but I think that's a great start from quite a number of drivers here. Field back in the hands of Matt Vanderkrat, and I love this strategy call. We are going to see a funky race from here on out. Hollis in there and hungry to stick his name on a podium. At this point in time, I can tell you the rear end of the pack are all checking up. They're all squabbling. They're all crawling all over each other. And Matt Vanderkrat did not wait very long at all, and he has surged ahead. And this says to me that he is going to be in a great position on this restart. Have a look at the gap as they run down to turn number one. Hollis is going to be there and trying to defend off from a fast-charging Michael Taliantic. Who is going to be close there? Talianci's not quite underneath the rear wing. He settles himself down and into third place. But have a look at the horde of V8s in the background. Michael Stewart's right there. Parker, Sharp, McCune inside the top 10. Cratch, McKnight doing his cursory, gain a ton of positions. Dave Kirby lurking in 10th place. And ladies and gents, it's time for a motor race.
Oh, listen to the roll already here. Lap 4 of this race, and Mike Taliancic is in no real, well, I'd say no real rush, but by fuel saving there and rolling it into this inner loop chicane, does a much better job of maintaining the car balance and control over the curbs. What will mean is he's now right on the bumper of Rod Hollis, and down the backstretch here into the penultimate turn we will go. And up the inside.
And there's chaos. There's chaos in the bus stop. There's chaos in the bus stop. There is a car off, and it's the other of the JWM cars. So both of them involved in the early chaos. And Travis Hunt, well, he's gone from front end of town to the back end of town, and they've got a long recovery effort in front of them. No safety car to help them out here tonight. And Taliancic gets his way on into second place. Matt Vanderkran gets control of the race for now, and 1.5 seconds margin, Dan. That's exactly how you want to restart the gun.
Yeah, he jumped that very nicely. And then, of course, the fight here, momentary it was, but just enough there to give him a breather, though. You can see already, even at 1.5.
Oh! Chaos, Halil Cesar and Scott Gamble just had a run in. They came door to door as they went into the left-hander of the right-hander of the Essex. Actually made contact, and now Dean Flavel's tripping over each other. We're going to go 3 wide as Chad Lewis looks to the inside of Flavel. How are we going to get through into there? Lewis gets down, sneaks through the inside. Cesar loses about 5 spots in about 500 metres.
That was not a pretty run there, but conservation, I think, on the mind of Cesar. You can see already. We saw it. You might have seen him on the replay. Scott from lap 1 there up the hill for the first time. So I think hasn't chosen to come into the pits and take service or use his fast repair that drivers get here in Tyres V8 Vets. So settle there and try and
race control's just called through and said that the pit lane penalty has been issued to Darren Crosby for the incident on lap 1 that's triggered the safety car. So that's what's getting all of this under control. I don't know if that was safety car. Might have even been restart, but drive-through penalty either way for Darren Crosby. He's calling out. There was also a brake check and a large check-up of cars as well on that restart, which is why he's unhappy. Actually, that might be why Travis Hunt was backwards in the chicane.
I think I heard lap 4. Because Brian Minogue's dropping down the order was from the outside of this. So you're going to moment to go and pick up the lap 4 pit plate. Actually, 3 drivers who are taking themselves to some of these. There's no Brian Travis. So I'd say we've got a moment. We've got John Latham, Dan all scrapping side by side to the final turn. All hung up to drive through the final turn. As Minogue's going to go around on pit entry there on the left side of the screen. Is he kicked it out of the wall?
Well, just about. And that's because well, he's actually allowed to enter pit lane from there if he wants to. But Dan Hall straight on the radio, not happy with that one. There was no penalty issued there for the unsafe pit lane entry or speeding, so we clearly got it down below the pit lane speed threshold. Brenton O'Brien, after pitting on lap number 5 with damage, has only just barely surfaced out ahead of race leader Matt Vanderkran, who now looks to run out to 2 seconds in front of Taliancic. He is disappearing, but I tell you what, all of those guys back there who did pit are starting to think, maybe this was the wrong call.
Yeah, you never know what the play is going to be sometimes. And yeah, you could be seeing a case of drivers could get stuck in the wrong part of the field and just, all kinds of pain. You can see they've got half a second. Let's just make sure these numbers are all updated to the last possible lap. And nearly half a second pull in clean air. Well, I say clean air. It's actually a bit of a wide there. Vanderkran's getting a very nice toe off of
Brenton O'Brien.
O'Brien there, who's just hanging on to that lead lap as brain short circuits because they suddenly find this 4th on back, deciding that this is what we needed to be seeing. Look at this here. We've got Michael Stewart
Tony
and
Parker.
Matthew Parker. Then you've got Jamie Knight trying to get past Scotty McCune in the background of the shot as well as they work their way through the inner loop chicane here one more time. And
So
this is now 6 cars. Take that too, because
I love this. You love this graphic, this
Oh,
battle
yeah.
graphic. This is where you spend your entire night on Thursday night, just playing around with this. How many cars can I squeeze onto this? Hint, last week it was, what, 21, 22? About that many? Update, I reckon, I'm going to throw a curveball here at you. Talian's just trying to go the distance without stopping.
that's
It's only 6 laps and he's got to save in terms of fuel, but he's got no one to draft off, and Van der Kraan isn't saving whatsoever. He's gone, you know what, I've got the head of this thing, I've got track position, I'm just going to disappear.
yeah, that could be the play, but just try and do it. Yeah, as you say, with no one, no clear slipstream to work on. That is.
But he's also not fighting anyone, so he can just pick up the clutch early.
There's possibilities. We'll go up to Italians. I think these guys we can trust. Let's actually ride on board for an extended period here with the man behind the wheel of number 21. Let's see just how he's handling things here. You can see Manicran through on O'Brien's. Unfortunately, the 26 is now down a lap. We'll focus here on Italians, I should say.
I think he's pushing on. There was no clutching there, Dan. Not there either, so I reckon he's seen that Van der Kraan's gone, I'm out of here, and he's had to respond, which means that he's put a stroke through his... But the thing is, if you're going to do that sort of strategy, you commit early. You don't go, I'm going to try and fuel save, oh, I'm 2 laps short, because then you fuel save the whole sit, lost all that time. If he's going to commit to this going hard strategy, commit early. I love this. This is going to be good.
The delicate balance here in this race as to how he wants to play it.
Short pit lane here tonight too, which is an important factor.
Green flag delta of around 18 seconds with no pit service to come down the lane and stop on the box. According to some pre-race preparation I was able to get done this afternoon. So add in the fact that we're only looking at needing tonight. Expected drivers only need to add about 37 litres if the race had gone green the entire way, and that's also on the high side of the fuel burn. The drivers are able to save a little bit, even only like 0.05 of a litre per lap. So Tally, yeah, he's working the wheel all right, and I think he might actually be trying to just get to the back of O'Brien here. This might be an interim solution for him to get to O'Brien, and then hang around and see what can be done.
Critical update for our lead car that has pitted, John Latham, is up to 11 and pushing on. His gap to the leader, I think, is in the realm of about 15 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds up the road. So that's probably going to be one of the most important numbers that we've got to keep an eye on. Yeah, 10.5 seconds already. That is the most critical number that we have to keep an eye on. And every single time he has to pick off a car, that's time. That adds time.
It is, but he's lost he's lost about 10 seconds in about 8 laps. So, Chad Lewis is on the radio. And he's looking at the worst. Oh, we've got in the background. That's Paul Burns in the 110. Yep. Here we go. Unfortunately.
So the problem is, if this causes a safety car, everyone that pit under that first one is they're good to the end.
They're good, but looks like the track has cleared up. Burns here is the last car. So it's about time to go back to replays for this one. Although, Jamie Knight, why are you falling down the order? Because you've come into the pit lane to get a green flag stop here tonight. Okay, so that's just going to throw me as
I've
just traded places as well. This is going to be interesting for Knight. He's going to take a big L in terms of 18 seconds across the pit stop time here. Stay with the driver of the 027 here for a second. Let's just watch how long he's in the lane for. Only 15 seconds on his jacks. Remember that Latham, 10 second station in his pit box, although you had drivers who were mostly in it for 12. So.
John Latham actually just picks off at this point in time. Stephen Gretsch up and through the loop. He was crawling all over and going through the bus stop, and then The short run between the bus stop and the loop got the job done.
Oh dear, he's actually walking right there. Let's go back on a tick further. So trying to get out of the way of some traffic, including Peter Vanderkam. Then you've got Christian Smart and Chad Lewis looking away through, and just seems unfortunate to come on over into the path of 727 who was there and up the inside, and then Ernst has got to worry about watching this entire field fly on by. And then, you know what? Let's see if we can quickly find that pass here. Here's what I wanted to show me. Thank you very much. You're John Latham looking at the very nice little, gets spreadsheet a little too hot through the inside of the
Update, he's just done exactly the same thing. Although that burns, never mind, so that's lap traffic this time. But 2 and 2 for John Latham at the exact same spot, but that did cost him just a fraction of time there on that previous lap. Vanderkam not disappearing down the road. If it's only, what was it, a 14-second static time for Jamie McKnight plus 18, so he's got 30 seconds to find with Matt Vanderkam. So that's going to be tough to find.
Watkins gaining in the slipstream down the straightaways here. That's despite making 2 moves in 2 laps, or sorry, a move in 2 laps. The gap is down from 10 seconds. Jumps back up to 10 seconds. It's down in the middle lanes there on the front stretch. We see. Focus on Latham P9 there on the tower. Look at that there. It's jumped down to 9.6. And then it will actually go back up again. So Vanderkam's got some good pace in that car. That low fuel, well not low, but about half empty. About half empty, I'd say now, in his tank. And it's doing him some good because you can see there, gap back to Taliancic hasn't really changed all that much. In fact,
Consistency.
It's just continuing to grow.
I mean, Tally's not really going out hard trying to chase him either. I mean, it's only a couple tenths a lap. There was 3 tenths on that last lap, so whether or not there was potentially some traffic on that lap, because there is a few cars that are lurking in that realm in terms of where the track map is. But have a look at that one.
Yeah,
Brent's home run was the lap car that was referencing for Taliancic, but this is in that little pack. If this keeps going, Dave Kirby's just dived into the pit lane as an update as well, so he's going to completely and utterly eliminate himself from being in the realm of an issue for John Latham, which just helps him out a whole extra tick. So a number of drivers just chopping and changing it. I can tell you, Gamble just had a huge moment up through the S's, and he's fuel saving. So cars that have pit: John Latham 8th, Ken Ladder 10th, Dan Hall 13th, Scott Gamble now 15th, as he just lets Jason Spriggs by because he had a huge moment through the S's. And then we've got to keep our eyes on where Kirby refeeds into.
He's been busy in the meantime. Paul Burns, the 110, unfortunately, does pick up that dry in the lane indeed. And yeah, you know what, let's get up the last pit stop. Put it up next to the gaps as Greg Sharp has come to the lane, speak of the devil.
Okay.
Shall come on in here.
Gamble's in as well.
Alright, okay, interesting indeed. That's a very interesting. Now,
That's
that might be. I'm
question.
going to say maybe he wants that damage gone, and was feeling the pinch, even on that one lap there. I mean, this is going to be a very. Look at the right side there from this angle. Yep, he goes in for the faster pair. He'll top the car off as well, so he can definitely make it home here with no more saving. But yeah, I bet you that was not in Scott's plans there. Yep, 9 seconds.
So it happened on lap 11. We're around a 110. 0.1. Well, so there's 2 110s in his recent past on lap 7, and which is just after the restart, and another one.
That's
11.
Look for where he may have been.
It was definitely on 11 because he still had the damage. He didn't have any damage at lap 11. Started lap 11. By the end of lap 11, definitely had some. Oh, he was Paul Burns. He got tagged by Paul Burns
Oh.
just before that incident happened.
Right, there we go. Piece that one to Scott. That explains a fair bit more for us there. Indeed. All right. So Latham up to P7, and he's going to make that P6 past McCune. Here will go. As the leader goes to pit, and he's still hanging around the 10-second margin. So yeah, what time he is making up in slipstream is being lost with having to negotiate traffic. And this part has been fairly good here, I'd suggest. We're actually going to roll out here and try and pressure Matty Parker. Perhaps save that.
Okay, so that weird incident we saw with Paul Burns in it, that makes a lot more sense now. Do you want to know why? He had steering damage. And he literally, just before the S's picked it up, with heavy contact with Scott Campbell. So he went down into turn number 1. Jason Spriggs, he didn't have a great turn 1. Spriggs sort of undercut and got in underneath him, which kinked him. He gave a little kiss to his rear, got him a little bit out of position. As he was trying to refeed back in, heavy contact with Gamble, puts him offline, gives him steering damage, leads to the incident we later on saw. So it was, yeah, because I was just sitting there looking at that going, that is just one of the weirdest incidents I've ever seen, and something's not quite right. Now it explains itself.
Up to P5, continuing to charge through the order. He has about 1.6 seconds to make up on Michael Stewart, who's being up underneath the gearbox of Rod Hollis, although I'd say that's not going to be for too much longer if he tries like that repeatedly. Scott Gamble goes and puts the fastest lap time of the night down on the board. Oh, cameras, where are you? I need you. Because the static cam's not helping us there. Around the final turn, Stewart not able to make the move stick this time, but he's certainly trying with that hunting early down the straight, but gets back in line for turn number 1 again. Just now, it goes up that tiny bit more. This time right. In fact, let's bring him onto the graphic, because there he is inside of 7/10 already. We'll be feeling the benefits of the Torrey, because these kinds of cars up that hill there in particular through, that's turn 3. Now they might be struggling a little bit with making sure that the front end is going where they want it. As to the inside, we've got Stewart. He's almost there, but Hollis fends it off. And Stewart's going to lose out big time, because here comes Latham, just going to cut up the inside. He says, I'll have your spot. Thank you very much. And Stewart picked up a slowdown for that as well. So the 919's going to go tumbling back behind the group to
Latham contact! Oh my word! That is going to trip up a number of cars, and that is going to leave a huge incident to be cleaned up here in between the outer loop and turn number 6. There's caution in this area at the moment. Local caution only. Has yet to trigger a safety car. Safety car gets called, and you know who's sitting in the best position of the lot of them? This is where Matt van der Kraan will put the head down. He will light the afterburners, and you're about to see the hottest entry to pit lane you've seen in a country minute. Because I tell you what, this has every opportunity to have race win written all over it. Everyone that's pit previously is in trouble too.
And everyone from P8 on down has already come in. So I'd make that P6 if my... P8 on it. Latham back into the pits, the first car down. So
he had to. He had massive damage. We're going to have to get a replay of this, but we've got to let this settle out first. In the meantime, this is probably one of the most important pit lane entries that we're about to see this season. Has to stay the right-hand side of this yellow line on the pit lane entry. That's the cone. This is the moment. Is this when Matt van der Kraan gets control of a motor race and gives himself every opportunity to win one? Talyancic follows his in. We expect Parker and McCune to follow on in. We've got to keep our eyes. Jason Spriggs is the first car yet to pit. He's on his way to turn number 6. He's probably going to get the race lead, but the tyres, they're starting to fall, and there's damage on that car.
Now note this, he came in on lap 2, and he's going to gamble it. He's going to gamble on it.
Where's van der Kraan? Is he rolling? He's at the front end of pit lane.
It is Jax. He's only just started taking service. Chad Lewis is heavily damaged, gets a lap back.
Spriggs is in front. Spriggs is out in front.
And there he is.
He'll be the only one to come through this time. Van der Kraan is going to drop off the
though. Oh, that's a lot closer than it was on the way in, but Van der Kraan will hang on.
They'll resurface. So they're 2 and 3. Taliancic will be 3. Dave Kirby, who just pit, will be 4. Jamie Knight will be P5. And ladies and gentlemen, the Watkins Glen 150 raises up one of the most curious, interesting, wacky races of the season so far. And don't forget, Dan Yeaman, this is V8 Veterans. Every race is wacky.
It certainly feels like that half the time. All right.
I can't believe
now
how excited we just got over pit lane entry, because that's how important it is to this. This is bad. This is ludicrous.
Roderick Holmes, I have found you. Unfortunately, now is the time we shall see exactly how it came undone for the 177. So Latham up behind. Latham using the extended track limits that are allowed, but Hollis white lines it. And over he'll go, and then, oh, Stephen Gretsch turns him into a Beyblade. Ken Ladder, unfortunately, there, minding his own business with, I think that might have been Dan Hall, who backed off all of a sudden. I'm sure he didn't get tripped up. Oh, Brenton O'Brien doesn't brake and gets into the rear of Ken Ladder there. Apologies for Dan Hall and the order of operations there, but my word, even just the way that, the way the 177 is absolutely turf in the secondary contact. Rolling, and then here, as Stephen Gretsch, unfortunately, trying to avoid. Oh! You hope at that point he's not holding onto the wheel, that's for sure.
Yeah, brake lights are on, ladies and gents. That's not intentional for Rod Hollis. He's gone from upside down to back and rolling again. And when you're upside down, you'll know this, Dan, that you don't want to lock the brakes up. You want to let them run so that the car has any chance it can to get back on its feet and give you an opportunity to get back in the race. So it's a tricky one from Rod Hollis. Not much he can do. That's so curious. We need to see a different angle of that contact between himself and John Latham, because that angle is just such an odd one. It doesn't tell the true story. I wonder whether or not Rod Hollis was trying to keep him out there on those external track limits, which are legal. They're a valid section of the track on this new layout of Watkins Glen.
All right, let's go back a little bit further. Let's try shot over top here. Actually not too far.
That's going to tell. No, that will tell perfectly, because they're going to come to it.
All right, you want this? Here we go. So yeah, Latham out in what is iRacing valid track limits. Yeah, it's just Hollis trying to hold him outside the curb and the white lines there.
I mean, that's just hard racing.
And yeah, it's a case of, well, yeah, Latham is following the track limits as permitted by iRacing, which are fairly lenient here in this updated scan of Watkins Glen, versus someone who was trying to defend that to the conventional white line rules. So yeah, I think unfortunately in that case it's just that is what it is in that moment, as Hollis has been able to get the car towed and repaired, but unfortunately for him, he'll now be down 2 laps.
We will be green this lap, Dan. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind. Jason Spriggs, lap 2 tyres, now holding off end of lap 1, now holding off 20, end of lap 20 tyres. So 19 laps worth of difference on these tyres. That's going to be huge, because those lap times had already fallen off about 3/4 of a second. So he's in trouble.
I was thinking we may have had a chance to talk about who's made up places in this race, but in fact, well, we can. I think we can now. We're in the second half of the race here tonight, and well, everyone should now be fueled to make it home. Although, say Jason Spriggs, he'll probably still be hoping to be a little careful about this one. 2 safety cars, though, he should be good to make it home from here. He is now at the top of the order for this one. Backstretch, we'll see here. How long does the 14 wait? I would think here he'll wait some time. Yeah,
I'd say he's going to go with turn 1, but there's no way he goes earlier than the apex of the last one. He wants to back everyone up.
He's gone. He's gone before the final turn, completely jumping the Paris, but it's worked. Look at the gap he's built, and Matt Van der Kraan off the restart already here.
Have a look at them as they all trundle out of that final corner, and it's immediately apparent that we've got a motor race on our hands. 3 wide in the background? No, it's just 2 wide. as they try and squabble their way on just in front of Scott Gamble. McCune's going to try and get down the inside here. Nick one away from Matty Parker. He's got the job done at this point in time, but it's a long straightaway. McCune's got there, job done. Matty Parker will now be watching through his windscreen at the rear wing of that McCune machine. And Scott Gamble is sitting there in the captain's seat. Lots to watch, lots to think about. How the hell does he get through this?
Parker thinks about it for half a moment, but no way through there that time, sir. You're going to have to tuck back in line. You're going to risk getting yourself too tripped up there to get things started. And you know what, Jason Spooks? He's keeping that gap pretty comfortably steady to Vandercrane in second place off this restart. So despite that was 3 good drafting runs on this restart lap, Spooks is not completely done. For pace, it would seem.
Vandercrane's sitting on those tyres, I think, because he dropped a fair chunk of time in the first sector. He then started responding in sector 2, sector 3. Only a short track, so only 3 sectors valid and open to us here tonight. And again, McCune's hanging onto a spot. Christian Smart decides, hey, look, I'm going to show you guys how fancy my right footwork is, and jumps to the fastest lap of the race as well. Is it the entire field within a battle graph? Because you've already tried that.
No.
It don't work.
Yeah, indeed, that would be obscene, and can confirm it would be unnecessary.
But here comes the response, because I can tell you now, Vander Grant starting to fall all over Spriggs. He's got to that rear bumper now, and we're going to have ourselves a 3-way scrap for the lead. Vander Grant, the car with the pace at this point in time. 15 lap left to run as they cross the start-finish line. Tonight's motor race flying by from the Kumho Tyres V8 Veterans.
Shows on indeed. 3 to 4 tenths between all of these drivers here.
He's there. I reckon Vander Grant's going to have a crack at this at the bus stop.
Shot up the hill.
Look at how settled he... Oh, he nearly got the fence on the right-hand side. Had to lift. Here comes Taliancic. But Vanderkraan is going to settle in for the slipstream, and Taliancic is here to ruin the party. He doesn't just spoil it. He doesn't just take the cake. He goes through and he'll steal your presents too.
Well, that was a small but very significant error there indeed. My word. Well,
he's had it all his own way so far, because he's led every lap of this race up until now, Matt Vanderkraan. And the 2 times he's had to go through there in tow, he has been on the limit of tapping that wall.
Just not quite comfortable with the car in that dirty air. Now, a moment of respite. Over there, he's actually even made an effort to do it, put it on the car, but yeah. I was trying to get this done during the race starts, so unfortunately I was aware of it, but bring us up here on the screen. There he can celebrate his 100th start in the series. Congrats to Damien. It's a pretty lengthy campaign already, given that we're talking about seasons of about 10 or 12 races long, so certainly been around sometime in the series, and looking like he's trying to continue on strong here. But we'll be hoping to be a little bit better than currently. Since P14 at the moment has been able to stay here for the rest of the race.
I've got you some stats that will come your way about Damien Cairns and his history with the V8 Veterans. This comes courtesy of Darren Goosey. So, first race, August 6, 2020. Most recent race prior to tonight was May 11, 2023. Now he talks that one up here. 25th of May with that 100, and it's a big old century. Hopefully he'll add another century to that one too, along with some highlight reel entries along the way. That battle for the lead's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Taliancic still not being able to get by Spriggs, but now he is attached to that rear bumper, keeping her eyes further back as well. Have a look at Sharp trying to get all over the rear bumper now of Jamie McKnight as our battle packs start to form in, and the draft settles everyone in. We are in for a blockbuster.
David Kirby showing up on the back of the group as well. Here for the top four. Q also starting to build up behind. Behind Jamie Knight for 5th place. As the overlays I'm used to seeing, but that's all right.
I was going to say, are we hitting the stage where Dirty Air just gets so bad that after X number of cars, the next car behind just cannot hang on because the Dirty Air is so prevalent? Well, Jamie McKnight just grabs a little piece of the barrier as well. And now Taliancic is going to send it down to the inside at turn 1 and 2. Turn 1 gets down the inside, shows the nose, crawls all over. Here comes the vulnerability. Vanderkraan's there. He's settling that car in. The run to the S's. Now that Dirty Air starts to take over. The highest downforce section of the circuit. The highest speed turns of the circuit. It gets tight. It gets twisty. He's got a great run. Pulls to the inside. Taliancic shows the nose. And then says, hey, I'm here, but I'm going to wait a little while longer. Why don't you?
Patience has been pretty unreal in this race. I mean, it makes sense. Lap 28 of 39. We've still got 11 to go at the line here tonight as these drivers continue to work their way around Watkins Glen in this penultimate round as well. We should add the Kumho Tyres Veterans 15th season on the iRacing service. These guys keep it up. I think it's safe to say our lead battle pack now extends a little bit longer than 4.
Is it 11th?
It's 11th. I'm going with 11th as well, yeah.
I saw that one coming. Well, you do a lot of work behind the scenes, Dan Yeaman, to set up pit strategies. I like the fact that all of these drivers take a look at your graphs each and every week. They crumple it up and they toss it in the trash bin, located nearest their sim racing rig. Because that's what we've created tonight with the safety car periods as well. And here comes McCune back down the inside of Michael Stewart. He's going to have a go. Parker's there. And Parker lost his position to McCune. McCune gets a really good run through the bus stop. Stewart went defensive, and now he's going to be compromised because of it. Parker's there, crawling all over that rear wing. Look at how close. Throw a blanket over it. You'll catch 5 drivers in that blanket.
It's getting pretty intense here. We've got Ken Latta and Scott Gamble on the back of the group as well. So, yeah, just to put this in perspective, as Lucas on the outside of the penultimate turn. Wobbles over the curb there, does Latta, but he's still inside now. For the final corner here, rubbing almost with Parker as Gamble. He's sitting in behind these two. He's got to be thinking, where can I go here? As he works down the front stretch, he'll look inside of Latta, but not close enough. Has to watch out as he scrubs back to the outside for the racing light of the way into turn 1. My word, we've still got 11 to go in this race.
And that was a game of millimeters at 200 kilometers an hour, and it could have ended in disaster. Didn't, and created a close racing experience all at the same time. And now Gamble's going to get another run as they head up through the S's and under the bus stop. Parker's become the cork in the bottle, and he's going to have to park it on the inside to defend. No, it's going to be Gamble that shows the nose and Latta that has to defend.
It's a bit deep from Latta. That's right side in the grass. And he's compromised, gets a tap as well through the carousel here. This driver's worked their way around. Not a lot of people willing to overrun the corner there, which is somewhat good to see. But oh my word, this is really getting interesting here and now as we stay on board for a moment longer.
You know what? With these two sides as close as they possibly are, it's not the bump and run, it's the bump and fun. Because they have both got grins the size of monkeys on their faces. And now Taliancic to the inside at turn 1. Gets it down there. This is going to present an opportunity for Matt Vanderkraan to get good drive off the corner, which he does. He's now attached to the rear bumper. They're going to go side by side into the S's. Spriggs will have the inside at turn number 2. He's already just about lost the spot to Vanderkraan. Kram will have to lift. So will Spriggs. Vanderkraan gets the spot. Kirby now having a look. McKnight's there. McKnight's going to look for a surge on the podium. Kirby's right there to the inside. Respect shown. Spriggs has to block it. Spriggs has to cover. Vanderkraan comes away with the position, but nobody else gets through on Spriggs. Now it's going to be off onto our leaders to try and set sail down the road. What can Spriggs do in the dirty air? Is he solid enough to hang on here? We're under 10 to go, you know.
Yeah, now indeed. I was feeling, let me flip it over here. It was 9 at the line. It'll be 8 in just a moment's notice. As they work their way down to the final corner once again. Gamble looking to the inside of Matty Parker at the back of the train. Trying to force the issue at the final corner. Not able to get the run though.
No, nearly ended up with the nose chopped off there as well. Here comes McEwen. He's going to stick his nose to the inside, looking for a little bit of overlap on Michael Stewart. No opportunity there. Nearly opens up the door there to Ken Ladder in behind him. Stewart now is going to be the vulnerable car in this chain as they head off of turn number 1. Still looking to try and impress himself on the rear bumper of Greg Sharp. And Sharp's hanging on to what potentially could be his best finish of the season as well.
Big trouble! John Latham and Rick Vickett deep in the barriers at turn 1 indeed, yeah.
My word. Well, surely all his bad luck is gone, John Latham. He should be safe to buy a lottery ticket now. Oh, my word. His season, he just cannot buy a ticket. Pedal failure, penalties, slowdown penalties not served in time, pit lane entrance issues, speeding, crossing lines. What has he done right this season, John Latham?
Unfortunately, it feels like, not a whole lot. As I think here's the answer, Scott, as to whether Spriggs has the tyres underneath him to run in the dirty air. It's feeling like a pretty resounding no, because you can see the interval number next to his name is the gap to Van der Kraan ahead of 1.3 seconds. He's being dropped by the top 2 as they form back up at the head of the field. With 7 to go when they crossed the line to get this Watkins Glen 150 just that little bit closer to conclusion.
How long does Kirby wait? Does Kirby get aggressive? That's not his style. He's going to have to pull the trigger or else he's going to get eaten up by McKnight behind him. And now Ladder and McEwen will crawl all over each other through the bus stop. Contact made. Ladder's still there. Gets out of control down on the run to the inner loop. And McEwen hangs on.
Throw up the inside late under brakes. McEwen respects that enough and then just able to maintain the exit speed from the inner loop chicane and maintain the spot for the carousel or the outer loop, as otherwise might be known here. And just breaks this loop up a tiny bit more. As McEwen, oh, that's in the wall. That's a decent chunk there on the outside for Ladder. And that's hurt him a lot.
Yeah, that left rear did not look comfortable after that. I thought he was in major trouble. He's managed to hang on to it somehow. Taliancic cannot get away, so he is pulling. And John Latham's received the penalty for that incident as well, which is the latest out of all of that one. He is out of fast repairs, and I don't expect to see him on the track for the rest of tonight.
It was a wobble and a half there for the Ladder at the top of the hill. So the steering might be straight from our angles on board there, but it looks like things are not quite right with the 269 as he throws it over the curb through the chicane, and it was understeering like a boat. Latham comes down to service penalty. Oh, Darren Crosby and Hello Cesar. What's happened to these two?
Yep,
Big troubles.
That has happened. Crosby and Cesar. I think Crosby's just parked on the barrier.
Made. I think we might
They've got to get that safety car out straight away. Because they need to catch Taliancic. Taliancic is on the front straight. It's been called. It's been released. Will they get it out in time? They have. They've caught the field straight away, which means I think we're going to have a 2-lap sprint.
We might even get 3 if they're really efficient about allowing Crosby out of the incident zone here in a moment's time.
That was extreme. You thought the drivers were quick. How about the trigger pull on the safety car? They had all of about a second and a half of a window to pull that, or Tally was gone for another lap.
Well, from what I can see here, safety car may have opted to ignore the pit speed limit to get out ahead of Taliancic there. But let's try and pick up what's unfortunately caused this safety car delivering accident for Darren Crosby on the way up the hill. Culminating here. Big old shunt, as it were. So side by side with Cesar through the S's. Travis Hunt in behind. Is he just going to run wide? Oh no, they both run wide. And then wobble, wobble. And oh no, unfortunately that was a wreck. It just kept on going. So hard to take your eyes off, but that, yep.
That's one of those moments where you want to close your eyes, but you can't. Because you
Yeah.
know it's going to end in tears.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, great tragedy there for the 66 Crosby.
Well, okay, how's this for a story? Update on the race order. Just before that happened, Kirby got by Spriggs. So, Spriggs will now try and hold off Jamie McKnight, who we know can make overtakes like they're going out of fashion. Does indeed wear them during fashion season. This will be where it all happens, because in the background of this one, they've literally got not very long to get this done. This is the lap the caution flew. The safety cars period began. We will have a minimum of one more safety car lap in front of us, and Spriggs just cannot keep that car gripped up. That's where he's losing the grip the most, and down the inside goes Kirby, and Spriggs just says, yep, that's not one I'm going to be able to hold off.
Let's see here if the camera, nope, doesn't look like there's a wide enough shot, but we saw that they got through before Crosby says it showed up on the back stretch there. So it will be at best a 3-lap dash here.
Come
to
on.
finish this race up. This has been one hell of a show, it feels like. We're getting a 3-lap race.
Yep. Oh! So we go from last round, where we have a safety car finish, which was controversial for one set of reasons, to this time, we won't have a 1-lap dash, so there won't be any calls of, Michael, no, this is so not right. Indeed, this is going to be, oh, Kumho Tyres V8 Veterans Race Control, you little ripper.
I mean, yeah, it's come out at just the right time if we want to go about it, in that way, in terms of allowing them to call the safety car, run their standard procedure, and get back to racing without the controversy, as it were. But, yeah, this is going to be quite interesting.
So, there was actually some deep diving into the facts behind the safety car period last week. And it came out of the Bathurst round from the previous season, and some issues with safety car procedures. So that's actually why, that's the update on the safety car policy from Daytona last week and why we went with it. The car was in an awkward spot. They didn't really have much of an issue. There's no provisions for a local yellow within the Kumho Tyres V8 Veterans, so they have to run a full course caution, which means safety car involvement. And the problem was it was too late in the race to do anything with it. So they had to run safety car to the end. It was discussed by all the race controllers. It was discussed and said that, look, if it has to happen, it has to happen. It's a shame, but it has to happen. So they made the right calls last week. Now they've used the safety car here with the correct amount of discretion as well. There's no runoff area, is there, Dan? Anyway, you just can't get out of the way anywhere around here.
No, not really. I mean, it's got some good track width. So, like, in that sense, drivers, you've got space to work with. But yeah, look, you've got cars with the grass on the right side of the circuit. There was asphalt back there, and it comes in again. But it's only really a car's width of grass on the left as well. So the walls here are fairly close by at Watkins Glen. And it's even worse, obviously, once you get up the S's. You've got turn 1 runoff, but that's very wide open asphalt these days. So we saw early from Van der Kraan to restart the race a second time. We will see early again. Clearly, that's the play here from the drivers here tonight. Taliantich goes in between the final 2 turns. We've got ourselves a 3-lap dash to see who gets a checkered flag here tonight as we go back green again.
Yeah, 3 safety car periods, 3 safety car leaders, all of them going before they even get to the final corner, not waiting to the last possible moment. Michael Taliantich has control of the race, and I think there is a little bit of chaos in the background, because when is there not when you've got 30 cars thundering down to turn number 1, up through the S's. 3 more times tonight they will run through. Latham at the back end of the field, and there's a car rejoining from pit lane. I think that's Peter Van der Kraan.
Yeah, in fact, he was on the track and something's happened to him there in the first corner. But looks to have gotten mostly out of the way. So we carry on in here at these drivers night up to P5, 19 spots gained, but goes to David Kirby for the most spots gained in this race with 24.
Yep.
And he's just in position, maybe he could make it 25. If he can close up the margin a bit, but you can see here after that restart, Van der Kraan closing back in. He's only works for,
It's through the bus stop in the loop. That's where he's making all the time. Everywhere else, Taliancic, Spriggs, whoever he's been fighting at any stage tonight, they've been making time. Nowhere. And then just through the loop, under brakes, and now he's going to get a huge tow here. There's going to be 2 more laps left to run. Fastest lap of the race is a time to do it, and there is a time to do it from Ken Ladder's point of view. Gets himself inside the top 10. Drivers shuffling themselves in and around the back end of that top 10. Greg Sharp's on for one of his best finishes of the season in 6th place as well. Here comes McCune. Ladder crawling all over the back end of McCune. McCune goes to cover it once more. He's done this once already. He'll do it once more, and he'll have the inside as they come off of the loop. They've only got 1 more lap to get through here. Is Taliancic going to sign, seal, and deliver another victory in the Kumho Tyres V8 Veterans? They've got 2 more corners left to run. They've got about 4 Ks and 200 metres to go in this motor race, and they're running out of time, and here comes Van der Kraan. He's coming down.
Yeah, as you said, he's strong to the back half of the lap. He's got to be better. Through turn 1, he dropped a good 10th and a half on that penultimate lap. White flag in the hands of Barney as they cross by the stand here. 3.9 kilometres of racing left as Ladder's looking to the inside of McCune. Again, can he get 8th place this time? He's there, and he's going to have a nose ahead, but side by side could be a drag race up the hill as they work it, but Ladder ahead should have that one sealed as we then look back towards the front of the field, and once again the gap is up to half a second. I think Taliancic has got this one covered as long as he's okay through the final half of the lap.
Yeah, will he get cheeky from Matt Van der Kraan, or will he just say, hey, I'm happy with second? He's closing. Taliancic had a real poor entry to the bus stop. Have a look at the bus stops in the background as they try and make their way through. He's just about there. There's 2.5 corners to go. There's 2 corners to go. McCune's been ejected from the top 10, I think. He's right
11,
there.
yeah.
Matt Van der Kraan, has he got anything for Taliancic at this point in time? The 21 of the 180 duked it out. It was the 21 who got the better restart the one before, and it's the 21 who sticks another victory in Kumho Tyres V8 Veterans. Matt Van der Kraan and Dave Kirby, 2 stalwarts of the series, will chalk up first ever podium for Matt Van der Kraan in the Kumho Tyres V8 Veterans. Kirby will get another one. Spriggs in there does his championship hopes no harm whatsoever. And Jamie Knight comes home in P6, Ken Ladder 7. And unfortunately for Scott McCune and Australia's unluckiest sim racer, he will not get a top 10.
Man, oh man. Well,
can we do this again next week?
well, we've got a different challenge awaiting the drivers next week to wrap the season up. It'll be a short race once again, but I think we should be looking forward to what comes next. But before we do, we can now turn our attention to the race results here for this week's running. The Kumho Tyres V8 Vets round number 9 of 10 for the season here at Watkins Glen International. 0.3 of a second is the margin at the line for Mike Taliancic over Matt Van der Kraan. Yeah, just enough, good enough in the opening half of the lap to hang on there despite the pace from Van der Kraan across the top of the circuit. Dave Kirby close, but not quite. Will still be your biggest mover of the race to finish in P3. Jason Spriggs hangs on the P4 despite the tyres that was struggling underneath him tonight, it seems, towards him there, Scott. Just ahead of Greg Sharp, Jay McKnight, Ken Ladder, Michael Stewart, Matty Parker, and Scott Gamble, who just recovers to P10. But all in all, it's been a very unexpectedly rough night for your championship leader, who unfortunately didn't even get a chance to talk about the championship standings. We'll have to have a look at them real quick after the interviews as to how things came into tonight's round, I think, before we set the stage for next week.
I'm having a look at turn number 1, and I think Travis Hunt is down there burning, just melting tyres into the runoff area at turn number 1. It was a troublesome night for Travis Hunt, so I don't know if he's celebrating or if he's just removing rubber from his car. No, actually, you know what? It was Taliancic. I saw another car, I thought, down at turn number 1, and I thought it might have been Travis Hunt, but it'll be someone else. Might be Crosby. No, Crosby's out of the race, unfortunately. Yeah,
I could confirm it's Taliancic currently absolutely burning the rears off the number 21 down at turn 1. But nevertheless, your next drivers to finish. So look at this here, 12.5 seconds covering the top 20. Now, yes, we only had 3 laps of racing to wrap that one up there. But all the same, these guys kept it pretty close all race long. But nevertheless, yeah, your next drivers to finish across the line here. Scott McCune, as you said, almost perennially unlucky, knocked back out of the top 10 with a late race bit of contact, it seems. Unfortunately, missed that one on your screens. He finishes ahead, though, of Christian Smart, up 7 spots for the 999. 15 places gained for Chris Miller in that 666 Fishy Motorsports machine, which is well needed for his championship hopes as well, given he came into this round in P3. Dean Favell will bring it home in 14th place ahead of Chad Vigor there in 15th. Stephen Gretsch, Craig Friend, Stewie Hall, Stephen Kennedy, and Dan Hall. Your pole sitter tonight, unfortunately, not the right strategy call. It seems to come in early and didn't make his way back up the field, ending up in 20th place there in the 462.
Oh my word. Troy Sipple, I think, will throw over to in 21st position. Scotty Van Loon, Jeff Thomas, after that incident early on in the race, will recover to 23rd, along with teammate Travis Hunt at 24th. Damien Cairns, 100th start. Well, he's a quarter of 100 on the standings here tonight. 25th place for him. A night that he'll remember, and a night he might want to forget. Brenton O'Brien was a part of that early caution spot. John Latham, just again unlucky. Brian Minogue, Chad Lewis, Rick Vigor round out your top 30. And only a couple more cars involved after that. Adel Cesar was in a good spot at one point tonight, just couldn't sign, seal, and deliver it. Paul Burns will get back to the lead lap. Peter van der Kraan will be enjoying the podium of Matty, but not his own race. Darren Crosby, Rod Hollis, and Michael Dumbrell, the innocent bystanders in a lot of chaos from Watkins Glen International. It creates chaos, this racetrack. I don't think I've seen many races go very clean here, and well, they delivered. They certainly delivered something, Dan.
Something, yeah, that's probably a way to say it. It was a good race. Short racetrack, high average speeds. Colour me not all that shocked, I guess you can say. But time to have a chat with our race podium for this evening. I think best start with the man who came across the line first this evening. Mike Taliancic breaks another race win in the Kumho Tyres V8 Vets. But it's been a little while, Mike, so congratulations for getting the win here tonight at Watkins Glen. Obviously a very draft-heavy track and safety cars there, meaning that did you have any pit strategy that you threw out the window straight away, or was threw out once you came into the pits at all tonight?
Oh, I never went in at the first safety car. I don't know why so many people went in. Like, there was no way I could save that, so I couldn't imagine anyone else doing it. But yeah, I was just wanting to go long. Watkins is usually quite nice on tyres, so I'd rather run deep and keep away from all the lap traffic and people down the back. Last thing I want to do is go into the pit lane early and then get stuck behind the back markers. But yeah, overall it was a pretty good race. I don't think I was the fastest car on track. I think Matt was, like, he had me for pace, no doubt. I couldn't catch him, like, when I didn't have the draft. I think he just broke to a little bit of pressure there at that last restart.
Well, yeah, we were watching on those last couple of laps, obviously real close between yourself and Matt, and seeing how things shaped up. And maybe there's a case to be said there that, yes, he had maybe slightly better pace. And I mean, looking at the best laps you both did tonight, that suggests that would be the case, to the tune of about 2/10 this evening. But yeah, all in all, yeah, you had some strengths at the bottom of the circuit. He had some strengths at the top of the circuit, but they ended up balancing out for you there and able to hold off for the run to the end there. And I mean, it's a good point you make there, sort of talking about traffic around a place like this. Obviously, short laps, anyone has any issues, they're going to quickly become lap traffic for them, unfortunately. Obviously, were a couple of cars that did fall foul early after the initial safety car, and you guys had to sort of pick them off one by one. But given that it was only one or two cars, that didn't really affect your flow too much whilst you were trying to keep Matt somewhat honest?
Yeah, it was honestly quite a quiet race for me. I don't really battle anyone too hard. Even when I was battling Matt, I wasn't really trying to make the move happen. He clipped the wall and I just took it from there, and he sort of gave it to me. We both, I think, finished with no incidents in that race, which is quite hard to do through that bus stop. I was just out there to stay out of trouble because I don't really do the most practice for tonight. I half expected to be disconnected, but the race finished earlier than I expected.
Mate, obviously a short one here tonight. One of the difficult ones. You always expect a little bit of chaos when you come here from to Watkins Glen. It's a difficult race circuit. And did you expect 3 safety cars? 3 safety cars is certainly a lot for a 150-kilometer race, but we definitely had a minimum of 1 on the cards.
I'm not too surprised, to be honest. People trying to pass at the bus stop, but it's usually a difficult task, but it's one of the biggest passing opportunities, so you have to really commit there and people fight it. It's pretty hard to go side by side. I've had my share of crashes here in the past.
Mate, and finally the opportunity to thank all the sponsors, obviously the competition, everything that goes on, because this series continues to deliver.
Yeah, I'd like to thank MRP, Man Racing Products in New Zealand, Sideways Photography and VNM Simulation. And thanks to all you guys putting on the show.
Congratulations, Michael Talianchich. It's not been the season I know you've been chasing. What have you done to that hand? I know the hand's back and working again. You might have to go and lop it off, I think, at this point.
I haven't really been too committed this season. I've already missed like 2 rounds, I think, and I was just sort of having a bit of fun. Like, I enjoy this series above all else, so I'm just sort of enjoying myself. I might come back next season and see what I can do. My only real goal was to get a pole position this season, and I got that last round, so I'm pretty happy.
All right, mate. Well, congratulations with another win for the Pursuit Sim Racing entry, and we'll see you again next week for the last round of the season, brother.
Thanks, guys.
We'll move one step down on the podium, and I think this is one that I've been talking to Maddie and I've been talking to Pete in between the races. I've sent a lot of good vibes your way over a number of weeks, Maddie. But man, am I excited to talk to you finally. We knew this was coming at some point this season. The form has been outstanding. This is the best I've ever seen you drive. Congratulations, buddy. P2, are you wrapped?
Mate, I'm absolutely pumped. No more excited than you that I am to talk to you, mate. It's been a long time coming, and I finally cracked that nut that is the podium.
It's been a tough old nut to crack. I want to say, in terms of how things have been running, you did come on a little bit stronger towards the end of last season. But this is far and away, I think the form guy was always favouring you. There's been a lot of guys up and down the field that have had strong weeks, that have had bad weeks. But you go into any race and you're always Matt Vanderkrane. He's on that second row. He's on that first row. He's there. He's sniffing. Pole position tonight had to feel good after qualifying.
No, it would have if I did get it, but I think I was third.
Oh, third? My apologies.
That's right. Dan Hall threw in a cracker. And no, that was a great lap. I thoroughly deserved. I'm not sure what happened to Dan, but obviously had a bit of bad luck out there. No, mate, yeah, look, I'm confident in my qualifying pace. Where I've got to improve is that consistency in the race pace and the racecraft. And, that's just doing laps in amongst these guys. Yeah, you're racing guys like Tally and John Latham, Scott Gamble, Kenny. Nothing but helps you improve. So, I just got to keep doing more laps with these boys and hopefully maintain that consistency.
How was the difference in terms of controlling the race to then running in behind Jason Spriggs? Because that was the biggest thing I noticed with watching you was after that restart, you've gone from having control of the race to all of a sudden you're in that dirty air. The speeds are a little bit different because you're picking up that slipstream, but you've got nowhere near as much downforce. Those first 2 laps, I thought you were in the barrier. I thought, no, this is his night. He's got it. And I thought it was over. Twice in a row, my heart rate went through the roof. How was it inside the car for you?
Yeah, look, there's a mess, but we can clean that up later. The second time round when Tally got me, I just clipped the wall enough, and hats off to Tally. He had some good runs on me, with just the draft on the previous couple of laps, but kept it clean, kept it in behind me. But he had enough on me that time to get through. And look, I'm not sure whether my position would have changed because I'm not sure I had the talent to get past Spriggsy, where Tally did, and I took advantage of that. And while I speak of that, hats off to Jace with that, side by side through turns 2 and 3. I don't think this track is made for that, and that was some good driving.
Let alone on old tyres as well. That certainly plays a part within it as well. It's been your best season of note. Do you know what's sort of creating that at the moment? Is it just more time in the sim? You're just finding that time. You're finding little bits and pieces that you didn't know were there before. Have you found different markers? Are you playing around with the brake bias? What's changed to bring about this run of form?
Yeah, look, I think I had a lot of improvement last season, and to be honest, I was a little dumbfounded as I didn't know where that pace come from. And look, I got myself with the old jinx shifter with the brake bias adjuster, and I absolutely love that. So, on this track, I was basically full forward for everything but the bus stop, where I nearly pulled it full back. And, that's that 0.1 or 500ths or whatever every lap. This, just really helped make that difference. And, laps and more laps, talking to the boys. We get together a few boys about lines and gears and, I just love it, mate. And when you love it, you get good at it. Well, I'm not good yet, but I'm getting there.
Certainly getting close enough at this point, mate. Finally cracked that nut getting into the podium. There's only one step left to go, mate. When's the race win to you? When's it coming through?
Well, the pace I've gone, the amount of time it's taken me to get to P4 then to P2, so I'm tipping about, 2032?
Okay, sweet. I don't know. By that stage, I'll actually be out there and on track with you, so I won't be able to celebrate in that format and talk to you for your commentary box.
I look forward to that.
But congratulations here, mate. I have a feeling there's a whole raft of thank yous that are just about to come rattling out of your mouth, so the floor is yours, brother.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Look, the head's a bit blown. First, massive congratulations to Tally and Dave Kirby. Great driving by those boys. First, people I need to thank all the admin team who put this whole league together. I've been on it for 2.5, 3 years now, 5 or 6 seasons. And, mate, I won't say I live for Vets Racing, but I tell you what, it's a big part of my life. I absolutely love all the blokes. I love the administration. I love everything that's put together. I love the broadcast you blokes do. I'm in a magnificent team with the old Angry Bird Racing boys. Nick and Chad, Rick, Pete, and we have a lot of fun together. So I'd like to thank those boys, our sponsors, Kumho Tyres, Logitech, and the other series sponsors. These things can't happen without them. And mate, that'll probably do me. There's probably 43 people I've missed out on, and I apologise, but head's a bit spinning at the moment.
Well, congratulations, mate. Time to go spray some champagne over as many bits and pieces that you can find around the shed. Perhaps a few people that'll get covered in a little bit to enjoy the celebrations here tonight, brother.
Mate, thank you, boys. Talk to you soon, hopefully.
Have a cracker, mate. And then finally, final step on the podium. It's been the quickest round in living memory, and now we're going to get our opportunity to talk to Dave Kirby from the 150 at Watkins, Glen. I don't think there is a single word that can describe that race, so I'm going to start off, Dave Kirby, with wacky, wonderful, delightful, safety car, incredulous. How the hell did that happen? Where did that come from? And gee, can we run this again next week?
Hi. I'm still in shock. Come up from 27th to podium, man. I don't even know how that happened myself, mate. Wow.
Hey, that was a cracking race. We've sat down with you this season. I think that the title Mr. Consistent has gone to you. You're about one of the only guys that doesn't get wrapped up in other people's races. You're about one of the only guys that we can see a positive number next to your name next week. What's the secret? What are you eating? And do you sell it anywhere?
I don't know. There was a series around a little while ago, probably last year or whatever. And it got drummed into us. We may be on a computer, we may be on virtual and stuff like that, but drive it like as if you've got a repair bill. So you bin it, you got to pay for it. So I guess that's the mentality I take into my racing. I try and keep it clean. Try to think ahead as well. Like, okay, if this is going to happen, what do I do? Looking after the tyres. This season has been a big focus as well, to allow me to have that dive and that run at the end when everyone else is struggling. So, tonight's race, bloody awesome. That had everything.
Mate, Watkins Glen always creates chaos. Lap 1, turn 2, turn 3. What goes through the old ticker when you see a couple cars sideways up ahead of you?
Well, you squeeze a little bit, but I'm going to put this out to the entire field. The way that everybody got through that, with the car sort of flipping up and over, doing barrel rolls at the top of the hill there, hats off to the entire field. Everybody slowed down. Everybody took it easy. Nobody tried to do a cold trick or through the smoke. Unfortunately, I grabbed an off track just at the last second. I didn't get hit, didn't touch anything. But to get through that, I'm like, okay, cool. All right. So we've got through the big one. That's where it's going to happen, lap 1. Here at Watkins, it always happens there at the top of the hill. Now it's a case of, all right, just think about it, be smart, play it smart each time. Don't go for dive bombs. Save your fuel, look after your tyres, and see where it washes out in the end.
Mates, another season here where you're thoroughly in contention for things. Obviously, yourself and Jason Spriggs late on in that race, it was so critical to clear him. Ailing tyres, it's everything you just talked about. It speaks, volumes of how you've got to go racing. You've got to set it up. You've got to take time. But you guys are going head to head, different sets of tyre strategies, different ways to get to the front. What was the thinking? Obviously, we've already talked, keep the car safe. But when you're competing for a championship, that just says, I can't make a mistake. I've got to be clean. I've got to be consistent. And it takes it up another level as well.
Oh, look, absolutely. And also, I didn't look at my timing because, Watkins is very not good on the sipper meter or looking away for too long. Even streaming, looking at the chat, you've got to focus solely and wholly in front of you. So I didn't realise until after the race when I was talking to Jace that he only stopped on lap 1 at that safety car. So big credit to Jace as well to make it where he did, to finish fourth, sorry. One stopping on those tyres. He was short on fuel there in the end when I got past him. Thankfully, I got past him before that last safety car. Otherwise, I think it might have been a little bit tougher. But it was a case, like you said, play it smart. I didn't want to ruin his race. I was quite content with P4 at that time to be where I was from where I started. Anywhere inside the top 10, I was happy with tonight. But up it and to be talking to you guys here on the podium is just, epic.
Mate, I've obviously had the pleasure of knowing you for a while. And I will say that respectful level of racing, that's just awesome. Every single time I've ever gone toe-to-toe with you, everything I've ever seen you do, it's always with the same standard. It's whether or not it's, you've had this repair bill. I really, really like that mindset, by the way. Something I'm going to start preaching to a couple of friends of mine that I'm coaching with at the moment. So I love that, man. So I just want to say, first off, big shout out, big props from me. Always love watching you drive, brother. Another solid performance. Who do you have to thank for that one?
Obviously, everybody at Fishy Motorsports, Kumho Tyres as well, for putting on it and sponsoring, what is probably the greatest supercar league on iRacing. What have we got? Player One, SimGear as well, another great sponsor of the league. And into Fishy Motorsports, we've got DC Shades, West End Motor Group, Relax Marine and Game Fishing. Precision Sim Training and Infinity Designs. And of course, you can always check out my racing as well on Harlan Motorsports.
Mate, congratulations. Another job well done. We'll see you next week. And I'm keen to get chomping into those championship points and starting to look at permutations. I love math, mate. So we'll have some math to do this week, I think.
Thanks, Scotty, and thanks for putting on another great broadcast. And because I'm in such shock, I must congratulate Mike Talianich and Matt Vanderkrant as well for their race result tonight. Well done, boys.
Thanks very much, Dave, and we'll see you again next week. Dan Yeaman, where are we off to?
Where are we off to indeed? Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the final round at the 15th season of the Kumho Tyres V8 Veterans Championship, we're staying stateside, but we're heading down south to the recently rescanned Virginia International Raceway for another 150k jaunt to wrap things up. Of course, a much bigger circuit means that the race will be down to just 29 laps in length, but be able to catch all of that from 8:40 p.m. on Thursday, the 1st of June, Australian Eastern Standard Time, that is, as always, to bring things to a close. But speaking of championship standings, before we sign things off, unfortunately we usually do this before the race, but we decided to babble on about Watkins Glen itself. Here's how things were looking coming into tonight's racing. Apologies, I don't have up-to-date numbers on hand with you, but I will make sure folks will have live championship standings next week to round things out for season number 15 here thanks to the overlays. But yeah, Scott Gamble came in with a 95-point advantage over Dave Kirby there in second, with Chris Miller down in third place. But unfortunately for him in 13th place, that means he's going to lost a bit of ground. Now, in saying that, Scott, just as a bit of a general idea of how points are scored here in Fair Veterans, the race winner gets 180 points. P10, you're still getting 160 points for your efforts. So, all things considered, in fact, in the case of, say, Scott Gamble and Dave Kirby, given Kirby finished third tonight and Scott was in P10 for this evening, for example, Dave's only been able to make a 14-point inroad there for that one. There are some bonus points for starting on for the pole position, fastest lap if you're in the top 10, and 0 incident points for the race, but they only add up to a total of about 6. So, all in all, I'd have to say Scott Gamble's is probably his championship to lose here, Mr. Rankin, but we've got lots of drivers separated there by mere handfuls of points, and their results after tonight, but then also next week with the finale, certainly could mix things up. And we have 2 drop rounds that need to be accounted for as well. And next week, as the final round, could still count toward those drops according to the season 15 regulations here.
Well, I'm just thinking, I'm looking at Darren Crosby and going, well, he used a drop round for tonight for sure. So, he was outside 30th. So, that's definitely points that he will not be taking away. So, more than likely, he will stay exactly where he is, which means Matt Vanderkram will definitely jump him, has an option to jump ladder, has an option to jump sharp. So, Vanderkram will go from probably 10th to 6th or 7th next week, somewhere in and around there. It's going to be an interesting, exciting championship battle. If you want to find it out, that's all the information on your screen. 8:40 p.m. next Thursday night, where we crown another champion, but more importantly, we go racing in probably the wackiest series that we get on Australian V8 Supercar Sim Racing. Kumho Tyres V8 Veterans Championship will return with thank you to Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Logitech G, Player One Sim Gear, Nova Sim Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the 150 from Watkins Glen, and we'll see you again next Thursday night.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.